lounges and stuff like that, I never take up for these dudes. Whatever everybody's experience is with them is their own. I just go off of my own personal experience. So, because you don't know how people are going to be. But I will say that just specifically regarding Chris, that there were many times during this experience that we talked on the phone after, different instances or things that he might say or do or whatever. And he would always call and ask my thoughts or my opinions, and he would listen and take that feedback. Like he really was looking to like learn. I don't think that he was trying to manipulate anybody. He did not come off that way at all. And I was married. My okay, y'all know I've been married twice. So my first husband was definitely, I'm not gonna diagnose him, but I will say that he probably was one of those. But anyway, so I definitely didn't see any of those traits in Chris at all. I think he really was trying not to offend people for a long time, like specifically when it comes to like women, but he would never apologize like for his views and how he feels, because like Slana said, was that that's what he thinks, but I think he just used the wrong words sometimes to say what he was really trying to say, because what y'all didn't see in that scene was that he was talking about, if any of y'all women if something were to happen, I don't care who it was, if any of y'all, even ones I'm not connected to, whatever would happen, I will be jump in front of you to protect you, to do, like take up for you. Like he is that type of person. He's not going to let somebody just, disrespect a woman in front of him. Like he does have those, like, those views when it comes to like gender roles, so some women, for me, I grew up in a traditional household. So I had a stepdad who, from when I was 8 to 21, with him and my mom, she stayed at home. He was a construction worker, very, very, traditional man views on how the household goes and all that. So that didn't make me feel any kind of way with him saying that. Like I'm used to hearing that type of and living that type of, life or whatever. So I think that people who aren't used to that would not be comfortable with a man saying, I'm gonna pay all the bills and this is what I expect or whatever. Those who are would not really look at it that way, which is why my friends were like, okay, so what are your thoughts? Because Aries is not a stay, she's a working woman. And he was like, that's fine, as long as it don't take away from the relationship. So I think I think that people just need to look at it without their own personal bias. And yes, it is going to come off weird, especially with the way they edit to put things together. Because obviously, y'all know they're setting up different storylines, if you can see kind of how it's been going so far. So, anyway, that was what I was trying to chime in. I'm like, when I came onto that and going back to just the ex date and how people keep talking about the servitude thing, Chris never said he wanted servitude. That never came out of his mouth. The ex did say that with Jessica, but what y'all also didn't see was that me and her sat there for 15 minutes talking before Jessica came in, which is also kind of why he said she came in loud, because it was just us three talking and there's nobody else in that restaurant. And we were just kind of talking, laughing lightly. And then when she came in, kind of like, hello, it's, whatever. It did seem kind of like out of what we were already doing. So not that she was a loud person, but just for that particular scenario, it was a little bit different than what it would be like if we were at a lounge or a club or, somewhere that was a little more, had a little bit more external noise or whatever. So that was really what that was. But yeah, like she never said that. I asked her a bunch of stuff about why they broke up, like why they didn't reconnect and stuff like that, and everything. And he said that, at the time he was building his business, he wasn't aware until she said that. At that moment, she had never said that to him. He had found out when we found out that she felt that way. That was something that she was doing because she felt that she needed to do it, because the type of business that he was, building, and he didn't have a lot of time, and that's the position that she took. But he never said, get in here and serve me and do this and do that to her. That was the difference from what they showed y'all and what was actually said during the thing, which is why when he apologized, it was actually a lot longer than what they showed. which is why I was like, whoa, like that was really powerful. And I did appreciate him apologizing to her, even though he didn't even hear that until they got on national TV. He still apologized, to her and took accountability. And he said, since then, I put a lot of things in place with my business. He has an assistant. He has all this other stuff so that he can focus you know, on those type of things. So just wanted to add that little piece in because it started getting a little bit. I was like, okay, I was just listening. Typically I could just listen and enjoy, and it don't matter what y'all say. I'll be like, oh, okay, that's funny. But I'm like, all right, now y'all come, y'all doing a lot. Y'all doing a lot.
Well, Aries, listen, I came to Chris's defense because at
You
the end of the
did.
day,
You did.
no, because at the end of the day, black men don't get any grace, love, or so, as we can clearly see from this little girl that's on the panel here, that
No,
won't have
come
the
on,
same
Bray.
energy for Chris.
No,
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 Solana,
no, no, no.
Solana, Solana, no, 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 no,
Bray,
no,
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 you
Braylon.
have to
no.
apologize for that statement
Come
because
on, Braylon.
two
We're not
wrongs
gonna do
don't make
that.
it right. I'm sorry, we're not going
Listen,
to do that. You have to apologize for
listen.
that
The
statement because
okay,
you did it.
okay, you know what? I will say sorry because it's the right thing to do. But she also did come up here and judge a whole black man off of a TV show. So we're gonna be fair. Let's be fair to everybody. Thank you very
It's
much.
called an open panel.
But Aries, I appreciate you because there's so many men that want to love black women. There's so many black men that are doing good things. There's so many men trying to rise, and the world doesn't already like us as black people. Why, as a black person, add to the hate? When Issa Rae said, "I'm rooting for everybody black," I'm not rooting for everybody black because all skin folk ain't king folk. We can clearly see. I'm rooting for people black that'll take accountability. I'm rooting for people black that will understand people have the right to evolve. And I'm rooting for people to be black and understand that just because we're broken doesn't mean we can't rise up to be better. So
I
no,
think
I am. So
I
listen, it
think
is what it
everybody
is.
can have different views on what they want out of their life and their future, right? So
Thank
there's
you,
gonna
Aries.
that part I think is okay. The only thing I will say I did not like the diagnosis part,
I
but
appreciate that.
I do think that, for me, I'm looking for certain things in my life. Other women, as you heard on that game night, were like, they don't mind. Some women want to go 50-50. Some want a man to pay all the bills. Like some want these
I
different things.
don't want to go 50-50.
Yeah, I'm not a 50-50 type. I'm not the 50-50. Because my thing is I'm already doing it by myself. So if you're
Right.
here, what's the point? So anyway, but
Exactly.
if you're doing it for yourself, right? If you're doing it for yourself and we all live together, then why is it different? But that's a whole nother conversation. But yeah, so I think it's just a matter of everybody having different opinions. And just like in that game night, like they weren't able to have that conversation just as a mature group of people saying, oh, okay, that's cool. That's what you want. Great. Then you go with that. I particularly would like to go this route. And that's okay. Everybody can do whatever you want to do. So
Yeah.
yeah.
Okay.
Well, I just want to clarify
We can
because
still in
it,
the
it made it
comments.
it made it seem like we had, was like not holding Chris accountable or just we all agree that he used the wrong wording, but as far as to
Agreed.
diagnose him and to make it as though he is some bad person because he's a provider in his culture and the way that he is, that to me is disrespectful. And I just to me, I took it. I felt disrespected for him when
Yep.
that came out.
And for
So
instance, like this morning, me and him talked about the equality thing. I had forgot all about that, to be honest. It was so much going on. I don't even remember what he was
Yes.
saying the night of the actual game
I
night.
actually wanted to know what he thought about it all.
That part, it was more, I think, again, it was the wrong wording he was trying to say because for me, like I'm a woman, I would like literally fight for women to have equal rights and, things like that when it comes to the workplace and everything. So like he and I actually spoke about it and that was not his the full part of that. Yes, no, women are not more emotional. It's just how we all express our emotion. I said we talked about that today. I'm like, men could be angry, they could yell at a football game, they could they could have emotion for all kind of stuff, but it just comes out very different. And women get judged a certain way by the way that we show our emotion. That's really what it is. And if we really look at the true
Yeah.
statistics, that's not the case. It's women are dying every day by the hands of their partner because people don't have emotional regulation.
Facts.
So I
Absolutely
think,
correct, Aries.
and you
that
know what?
was
That's
it's
crazy
an
you said that because me
education.
and Braylon spoke about that earlier.
Yes, we did.
Yeah, it's an education piece, right? Like I said, with
Mhm.
Chris, he's super open to feedback. He may have certain views that he's thinking one way, but when it comes out of his mouth, sometimes it can like you said, Slana, like he didn't think it all the way through with all the different possible ways that people can. Again, you're on TV, you don't know how many angles somebody could try to cancel you on, but ultimately he doesn't feel that way. He has strong women in his life. His sister's a strong woman. He got a lot of women that he's you know that he has in his life that are business women, CEOs, running their own stuff, so I don't think he doesn't think that women cannot lead. I think it was more so around his views regarding, just like, again, I don't believe in equality on everything either, because I want a man to take care of certain things that I don't want to take care of. We are not both going to be taking the trash out. You could go ahead and do that. It's just certain stuff that I do feel too. So I just think it's just a matter of how you communicate those things. Maybe he
Absolutely.
did not do a
No,
great job.
I totally agree. And listen, Tiverton, to be fair, here is the link to season 9 of Ready to Love. Go ahead and apply and let's see how you do. Since you know everybody on the show, go ahead and apply. Let's see how you do.
Listen,
I
I
Since
just,
you
I
feel
just
have
like
both.
wanted to,
hold on,
I just
hold on.
wanted, I
This
just
is this
wanted to
is
Can
say,
we not do
hold
this?
on. This is what
I,
I want to do, and I feel like this is the most respectful thing to do. Chris, honey, you are in the chat. I feel like we are speaking about you. I feel like you should come up here and maybe say something
Absolutely.
if you would like. If not, it's understandable. But I just feel like, out of respect, your word should be heard.
Absolutely. Fair is
I
fair.
agree, and
Absolutely.
I just wanted to say as well that with Aries, I appreciate what you've just said now, because you've also given me another perspective, and I do apologize if it was like an outright diagnosis. It was the language that he used that was the trigger for me. But as you explained it, as Slana explained it, it makes more sense now, because if that was his thought process or that's what he truly believed, then absolutely not. But as you've explained it, Aries, I appreciate that, and it makes sense to me.
Yeah, because I mean,
And
I
I
would not
apologize
be
as
talking to
well.
somebody who
Yeah,
thought that way. You know what I mean?
yeah.
Like that would, I would have been like, oh well, okay, I'm done with him. But he is the most sweetest person, and honestly, even after everything with the show, if we're all with Chris, he is gonna make sure we're all taken care of. He's always very catering, and that's something that I could just say
And
full
that's what a
credit.
man gonna do. That's what a
Yeah.
man gonna do.
Absolutely
That's
right.
true.
And
That's
child,
true.
you just lost. Just take the L and move on. Trying to clean up yourself now. Just take the L and move on. Chris, all you
No,
do is
I
just
Do
click the
that,
top of the
no.
Braylon.
link
Stop.
and
Braylon,
Stop.
you're
Stop.
Braylon,
very
Please,
Braylon,
hypocritical. You're very
listen.
like,
hypocritical. You were bigging up Chris for apologizing or seeing what he done wrong. And if I've seen what I've done and I'm like, oh, actually, you know what? I can step back and apologize and look at it at a different perspective. You should be saying, well done. Why all the hate? You're very haterish over there.
I
oh, you
It's
mean,
do
all love.
not
It's
know
all
me
love
well.
from you
Listen,
anyway.
okay. I'm gonna tell you,
she got with it.
Braylon is a very strong-minded person, and he's very passionate when it comes to, I mean, honestly, the treatment of black men. And there's a lot of men that are like that, just like women. We are very passionate about us. We have to understand, if that was flipped and reversed, how would we feel? How would
Oh,
we think in
100%.
that time? Okay,
Yeah.
so
And I
I'm gonna
also
say this.
defend
Okay,
women too. So
Braylon, as your sister, I'm asking you. I'm gonna need you to tone
okay.
it back just a little bit,
All
okay?
right. Okay.
All right. We have
Okay.
the official
Chill
after
out.
party. If you
Okay.
want to air it, go to the
Hi,
I
official
Chris.
after party, okay? Hi, Chris. How
understood.
are you?
Hey, Chris, brother, welcome in.
Hey family, thank you guys so much. I greatly appreciate this. Aries, thank you for texting me, letting me you was on. I'm always welcome for people perspectives and their point of view. I don't get mad. You guys see me get frustrated, but that's a whole nother conversation due to the circumstances. So again, I do have thick skin. I've had the hate messages and all of that, and I've always shared some of those with Aries. But again, guys, I'm open to whatever question, what you guys want to talk about, and I'm just grateful to be on you guys' platform.
Okay, Chris, I have a question for you.
Okay.
Because as much as I've defended you, I want to understand what exactly is your beef with Jessica.
My
Because
beef.
it's
So
almost like, yes.
so the thing is, I'm not gonna say too much because she's not here to defend herself. But what I will say is that from growing up and being around powerful women, I understand that it's a certain type of way to handle a man that you seeking, right? And then also another thing, when someone declines the offer, then let it be that, and let's not be upset or create a plan to go against that person because he feels how he feels. You know, after speaking with her after my lunch, I thought we was good, but unfortunately we wasn't. You know, and so things progressed. Um, at that point, the who was supposed to meet my ex was Aries, Lee, and Katarina. That was it. The date I was supposed to go to, I was supposed to be there with Herbert, and on Cat's date. So everything was clear, but production has to do what they have to do. So I'm not mad at them. They're getting a check. So it's like whatever narrative or whatever character you want or outline, you want to see that through, even when it's a curveball been thrown. Like, nah, I'm not running that race. You know. So again, I don't have any initial beef with her, but if we look at how someone treats other people, how can you not treat me that way, right? And those are the things that people don't understand and don't see, because people can look at someone and says, okay, this is a pretty picture. You know, she would use the word aesthetics when it came to me, but now I understand I'm much deeper than how I look. You know, and for a guy to reject a woman, all hell break loose. You know, we get rejected every day, but women sometimes, not all women, because I know plenty of women that don't keep it moving because they confident in themselves. Not saying that she's not, but there are cases when a guy rejects a woman. Now he's this or he's that. It's a character attack, and that's what happened. And I kept biting my tongue. Even on the retreat, there were things that transpired that I just turned the cheek to. You know, Aries can attest to that, and I don't really want her to take sides or anything, but some of those things she saw and a lot of people others saw, and I just smiled through it. You know, regardless of what's going on, if you notice, I'm always smiling. You know, and that's what I can say about it without saying too much, because again, she's not here, and I don't want to bash her or say some stuff about her. Even on a friend date, when they asked me about wife qualities, I couldn't say nothing because I didn't want to lie and I didn't want to make her look bad in front of her friends nor on national television. But it gets to a point where enough is enough. Does that clarify?
That definitely, I mean, that's
For
understandable.
sure.
And I think
For sure.
we actually, so if you guys are familiar with our panel, we do this every Saturday. So
Hmm.
from the beginning, we have been following. And we have made this comment. We only see a certain part, but also there's so much that you can give a camera for them to show. If you're not
Absolutely.
giving substance and if you're only on the surface and you're all about the surface and there's no inward, you're not going to make the connections. So we can't expect for you guys to stick it out or, it's almost like a competition. You guys have to really weed out people that aren't connected with you. So that's what you have to do. Only
Absolutely.
thing is we say is like when it came to, like you said, we've all said certain the way you've said certain things, that's what's kind of triggered it where it's like people look at you as you're disrespectful or as, you are like women bashing, which is not the case at all.
Mm-hmm.
I'll
Like
even add this though. And Chris, you can tell this. I told it's times where I was like, you need to stand up for yourself. like it's
Oh yeah, they were dragging me, but I was like, it's like, I mean, it's women. I can't argue with a woman. You know, that's just how I felt. But they were dragging me. You know, like the things that I would have one-on-one conversations were totally different from what they had in the lounge. You know, and one of the gentlemen, I don't know if he was giving us, all the stuff by reading tarot cards, and I know no shade, but I guess there was kind of shade, but it was running tail that. So it got to a point like, oh, okay, well, let me just hush and just ride this out. I know my connections, we genuinely have love and care about each other. So when I saw them on like drive to the car, that was one of the beautiful scenes I ever saw. Just seeing them happy like that. So I mean, you're absolutely right in everything you said. And Aries was like, hey, you need to take up for yourself. You need to defend yourself. And I'm not used to having to defend myself against women. If it's a man situation, then it's a totally different animal. What you guys saw on that show, that's the tip of the iceberg when it comes to that, if it comes with a man.
I think in context of the defending part too, is just like when we had the date where I was telling Chris he was still ready to love. it was more to that conversation of me saying, with him, he was trying to be nice and like ease out of his connection, but instead of just ending it and saying, you know what, let's just stop. And I'm like, women need clarity. Like, the more clear, even if you think it's going to hurt someone's feelings, like, just, you don't have to say it in a mean way. You just say, hey, you know what? We thought we had a connection. It's not that anymore. Let's both just move on. And that will be easier than just like trying to not really say it, and it gets more festered. Things get festered and it gets worse. So
yeah, and Aries, to that, we had a one-on-one, but I guess I was maybe too nice with it. And I'm probably, knowing hindsight 2020, knowing what I know now, heck, I probably would have publicly said it and maybe bought an ad on Facebook or something. I don't know. Just so it be clear.
An ad on Facebook. Okay. I thought
Yeah.
Red was a comedian.
Listen, you heard? And let me just say this to Tiverton, I am sorry, Queen. I like Gigi said, I am very passionate, and I really do love all people. I just don't like disrespect, because I think we all have messed up with our mistakes, and I think everybody deserves the chance to be better. So I am not sorry for defending a black man, but I am sorry that you got that energy from me, because I am much more than that. So I just wanted to say sorry. I can do the right thing. So
okay,
I don't
so I
know what
have
was
a
said, but
question
thank you for
actually.
defending me.
oh,
I
no
have a
problem, Chris.
question for
I would
Aries.
do it again too.
Okay. This
Go
question's
ahead.
for Aries. How did you feel about Lee saying that you, her, and Katarina were sister wives to Chris?
that was our little
Oh my
inside
God.
joke. I think.
It was facts on facts on facts.
It's funny because we were probably the ones that were the most unfazed by the fact that we're dating multiple people, or the same people, whatever. I mean, it's a part of the show, right? So I was, and Chris knows, like, I'm like, go talk to everybody. I wanted whoever I'm connected to talk to every single woman you think you might like. Because when you
That's
come
true.
over here, I want you to know you over here. I'm not worried about none of that. So it was more of our little, fun joke that and honestly, that was kind of one of our first
Mm-hmm.
times that me and the girls were really starting to connect. Like, we were cool like throughout the whole time, like cordial, and in the group chat and stuff like that, but we weren't really like, that was where we started our own kind of separate group out of the drama. Basically.
There's nothing wrong with that. Nothing at all. Now, when it comes to this is for Chris, when it comes to game night and what we did see, if you could answer that question maybe a little differently, would you?
Yes, I would. I would love the luxury if they would have played the whole thing out. Because when I talk about equality versus women and men, the way I said it was incorrect, but my meaning was, I feel women shouldn't have to do certain things. And for example, if a man come in that room, and I did say this to them, with an AR or some type of knife or handgun, it's a man's obligation to protect all the women. Even if we're at discord and I'm not favorable in some of those women, I still am obligated to protect her. It's the reason why they say women and children first. And I always say this, God is a black woman, and I believe that to my core. So therefore, in my household, the women, they don't touch trash. It's beneath them. Maybe that's a culture thing. I don't like my sister or my girlfriend or my wife have to struggle when it comes to bills. If she just want to pay bills and she want to do this and that makes her happy, you can do it. It's just that I wouldn't like for you not to do it, but I'm not going to tell someone what they can do, because that's a form of control. And it was, I don't know if they gonna show it or whatever, but they were saying something as far as my finances is how I guess have some type of control. A lesser man uses money to control a woman. I'm far from a lesser man, and people confuse my confidence to arrogance, but it's not. I would give the shirt off my back to anybody that needs it. It's just that I know who I am as a man.
Absolutely. I want to ask a question to Aries and Chris, if I may. Chris, you remember when you had to leave the hold down to accept your award, and by the way, congratulations on all the success. And I want to ask this question because I have never been in an experience like this before. Do you and Aries believe that maybe your list of standards or requirements have changed being on this show? That for you, Chris, that because you are so involved in your purpose, that, you know, being on this show has allowed you to see that maybe I need to pull back a little bit and live more life. And for Aries, with the wealth of knowledge and experience that you have you seen that you deserved more for yourself as Aries?
Who going first?
I can go first. I've always felt like I deserve more, so this didn't change anything.
Understood.
That's why I've been single as long as I have. I've been divorced for 10 years. So, you know, when people refer back to my life, I was married at 22 years old. And the second marriage, I was in my 20s as well. So there's a lot of context around that. But I did not become a single woman until I was 34 years old. So imagine someone who started dating in their 30s, right? Like I was always in a relationship my whole, you know, life basically. So for me, I have 2 children. So the way I date is very different than how I would date if I didn't have kids.
Sure.
It's different, right? So I'm looking at the type of men I want my sons to be, the type of, you know, the influences I want around their life if the person's going to be around them. But I've dated for these 10 years and my sons have only met one person, and that was after we stopped dating. So it was just because we happened to be in the same place at the same time. But I'm very particular about those type of things, and what I'm happy being a single person. So I'm not going to settle just for anybody just because they're a man, and, you know, I don't need anybody laying in my bed that bad. So I'm good. When the right person comes along, that'll be the person for me. And I will know that, you know, when it happens. So, you know, that's how I look at, that's how I've always looked at it. That's how I've been looking at it. And I think what the show actually did for me was make me more intentional, right? Like in the dating process. So now I've looked at it like, oh, these are like these questions that I was asking, which they don't really show a lot of them on the show. When what you all are seeing, I wouldn't ask some of these questions for a very long time, because by the time you go on certain dates with people, you only go on dates, you know, once every so often. When you're on those dates, you might be just enjoying yourself and getting to know things about them. But by the time I ask certain ones that are so deep, it might be 6 months or a year from now, you know, if I know all the ins and outs of your life. But on this show, you have to do it all in weeks. So it's like you're bombarding this person with a bunch of questions on things that you may not have really thought that you should be asking. But now I will say, like, whoa, I should have been doing that a long time ago, you know, asking some of this stuff. So, you know, that for me was the biggest learning for me, is just I wasn't being very intentional with my dating as much as I thought I was, based on the type of questions that I was asking and when I was asking. Like I could have knocked some people out early, you know, a couple of weeks and moved on, you know, or whatever. But I think that's one thing that I'll say that I gained from this process was like, oh yeah, you should be asking a lot of this stuff a lot earlier. You get to know someone a lot better.
So if anything, it allowed you to know to breathe within your process more. I appreciate that vulnerability.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, because it's like if you're not happy, like Quentin said, I don't like being single. I like it. I like it. So for me, I'm not in a rush to get married. I'm not trying to hurry up. And, you know, like as someone who's already been through it, has a little bit of fear behind making another mistake or feeling like you made a mistake, you know, and stuff. So I'm okay with taking it slow and building and growing with someone. And I don't plan on having no kids, so ain't no rush over here. So.
Understood.
Yeah.
Wow, that Aries, you hit the nail on the head on all of that. So for me, the show, I feel it was a blessing because one of the key things was intentionality, and I think they just beat that down our throat. And I also look at, as far as God gives you a purpose, right? And then people that come in your life for that purpose, I consider them as purpose guys. And I feel that, for example, Aries is one of my purpose guys. I feel like I'm her purpose guide. And with my connections, if you guys could just be a fly on the wall with the type of deep conversations that we have, you know, after recording, you would be amazed because there's so much to an individual when you're fully transparent and vulnerable within the conversation. You know, Aries has seen me in my highs and my lows, you know, and because we talk, you know, that's somebody that I care and love, you know, along with Lee and Katarina also. Shout out to her. I talked to her earlier, and I'm praying for her family because she just had a situation with her father. So I would say this show has opened up so many thoughts in my mind that I didn't know about relationship. Just like where it says, as far as like that quick communication, shutting it down when you don't need to go any further. Because in real life, ghosting is a real thing. If you're not vibing with someone, you're not having a second date. But in this process, we're contractual have to be there, and it's forcing you to go deeper with a person that you really wouldn't talk to on a normal, on a normal circumstances. Now, granted, my three connections, I would talk to them if I was in Jamaica, Cancun, you know, or even in Oak Cliff, in the ghetto, wherever, you know, because they are those women. As beautiful as they are on the outside, man, the inside of them even more so times 10. And so it taught me the right questions to ask, understanding, you know, moments of pause. Let me steal Jessica's word because I learned something from everybody. And it makes me, I feel like I'm a stronger man when it comes to relationships now. And I feel like I have thicker skin, you know, because a lot of people don't know that they just judging you based off snippets, you know, just little highlight reels, you know, and they're going back and forth. I had someone that hated me, but they met me in person, then they loved me. I was in Invest Fest, and it was crazy how the people change like the weather. You know, as long like even coming on certain podcasts, they're like, "Oh, okay, now I'm hearing," because I don't talk much. I'm more of a man of action versus just verbalizing to the masses. Now, if I care about you and I love you, we gonna talk all day long because I love to go deep in conversations. And this is probably one of the deepest podcasts I've kind of got in. I kind of like get in, get out, but I'm enjoying this, and you guys are receiving it, asking great questions. This is a safe zone, and I feel good being here, right? So this taught me to only do things that I want to do and who I want to do them with. You know, I'm not going to no longer be pressured to sit down with someone that I don't feel we're equally yoked in even a friendship. You see what I'm saying? So those things is what this show has taught me, and I'm grateful for it. You know, it's more of a positive than it is a negative.
No, I appreciate that, Chris. And what I appreciate about your answer was you allowed yourself to recognize that even though these are my circumstances, that doesn't mean that that's how I see myself as as an opportunity, as a blessing, or how I move forward. You didn't let the mindset of others dictate the foundation of your soul. So I appreciate both of y'all vulnerabilities for sure. Would love to connect with both of y'all. Much love to both of you. Thank you.
We'll have to come back when it's over.
So,
Definitely, let's do it. Throw us a
All
party
right, thank
together.
y'all.
I'm here for it.
All right, thank y'all for having me.
Yeah.
No
thank you
problem.
for coming.
Like I
Thank you,
said,
guys.
we are here every Saturday, and
Every Saturday.
actually, right after this, Braylon and I are actually going to do the official Ready to Love after
Oh
show.
boy.
So
So
that's a
much to
little
talk
bit
about.
different. Yeah, that's a little bit different. Still a very safe space, but we are letting our hair down, you know, maybe sipping a little
Yes.
wine. Like, we're going to get
Yes.
into it a little more, okay?
Oh yes.
Well, I'll go
Yes
pour a
indeed.
glass and check y'all out.
Listen.
Hey, I'm a listening too.
All
Yes
right, y'all.
indeed.
Have a good rest of your day.
Much
All right.
love,
We
Queen and King.
appreciate
Thank
you
you.
so much. Thank you, Queen.
Bye.
Bye, guys.
Bye.
See you soon.